Okay. Ready, Pat?
Ready, Judge.
Calling cause number 2016 DCM 0014. This is out of County Court Law number 5. This is in the matter of the marriage of Fernando Hernandez and Estefania Cabada. Announce.
Your Honor, it's William McGlashan on behalf of the petitioner, and it's actually in the interest of MEH and ZEH, Judge.
Okay, correction.
Heather Ronconi on behalf of the respondent, Estefania Cabada, ready to proceed.
And sir, if I could please have you state your full name.
Yes, my name is Fernando Hernandez.
And ma'am,
Estefania Cabada.
and I'm gonna need you to speak up nice and loud, okay? Because I can barely hear you, and if I can barely hear you, that means the court reporter's probably not catching you either, okay? All right, I need both of you to please raise your right hand. You swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes.
All right. Go ahead and lower your hand. And counsel, any stipulations?
No, Your Honor, I know Heather had submitted to the court as respondents one the final decree of divorce. I have no objection, of course, to the court looking at the final decree of divorce, since I will be referring to it also.
Okay. Anything else? Nope.
I received some documents from Mr. McGlashan, a proposal for the court and my client's discovery responses, to which I have no objection. I also have a proposal before the court as Exhibit B, I think.
Okay. All right.
And again, I mean, for illustrative purposes, I have no objection to that, Your Honor.
Okay. Then call your first witness.
I'll call Fernando Hernandez, Your Honor.
And sir, I'll remind you that you are already under oath. Anyone who is not directing questions or answering questions, please go ahead and mute yourself, and I'll do the same once I've located this document. Go ahead, counsel.
Mr. Hernandez, if you see Ms. Ronconi raise her hand, just wait a second. She's probably going to object to something, okay? Because a lot of the time during these Zoom things, that's what we have to do, okay? So if somebody raises their hand, just wait a second, let them get out an objection, okay?
Okay.
Please state your name for the record.
My name is Fernando Hernandez.
And Fernando, you have filed this petition to modify, is that correct?
That's correct.
You have 2 minor children, Amelia Hernandez.
Yes, and Elisa Hernandez.
And Elisa Hernandez. At the time that your divorce was finalized, do you remember exactly more or less when that was?
I believe it was about 4 years ago.
Okay. Does March 7th of 2016 ring a bell?
That's correct.
Okay. And at that time, Amelia would have been about 3.5 or 4 years old.
That's correct.
And Alyssa would have been about 1.5 years old. Is that correct?
That's correct. A little bit less than 2, yes.
Okay. And during the time that you had your final decree of divorce, did you suffer any criminal charges filed against you at that time?
Yes. I was being charged for.
Let me ask the questions. What were you being charged with at that time?
It was, I believe, aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, vehicle being the weapon.
Okay. And did you eventually go to trial on that case?
We did.
And what was the outcome of the trial, and when was it?
I was acquitted, and it was about 2 years ago.
Okay.
2018.
In May of 2018?
Yes. May 2018, yes.
Okay. And during that time that you were facing these charges, can you explain to the court how you felt about your ability to answer all the questions if the court were to ask you questions?
And I'm sorry, I'm going to object as to relevance. I'm not quite sure I understand if Mr. McGlashan's asking about the proceeding leading up to the final decree or something that happened in those 2 years after the final decree.
I'm asking at the time of the final decree.
My objection is relevance.
Counsel?
Your Honor, in order to prove a material and substantial change, I have to prove what existed at the time and then what exists now.
But Judge, it was an agreed divorce decree.
I understand, but there could have been reasons why it was agreed. And
Well,
that's
then
what
it
I'm
still
going
goes,
into.
forgive me, I still think it goes behind the order. My objection is relevance.
I'm sustaining the way the question's been phrased, so.
Okay. You had agreed to that order at that time, correct?
Correct.
You knew you had criminal charges pending against you.
Correct.
Okay. Subsequent to that time, where are you residing right now?
I'm in El Paso, Texas.
Okay.
Same address.
How long have you resided here?
All my life, my whole life.
Okay. Do you have any other residences that are available to you at this time?
No.
Okay. Where were your children residing at the time of the final decree of divorce?
Here in El Paso, where they were born.
Okay. Where was your ex-wife now residing at the time of the divorce?
Here in El Paso.
Okay. At the time of the divorce, was there any contemplated move on that you knew about?
No. I found out a couple days
Objection
before.
non-responsive after no.
Sustained.
Okay. Sir, during the time that you were here in El Paso and your children were here, can you explain to the court what your visitation schedule was or is?
Right. So it was Fridays 12 to 6 p.m. And every other Sunday, which regularly wasn't honored.
Okay.
Objection non-responsive after
Sustained.
What was your schedule supposed to be?
Well, every Friday, 12 to 6 p.m. And every other Sunday, 12 to 6 p.m.
And did you have difficulty visiting during these periods of time?
Yes.
Okay. Did you attempt to visit with your children at all times?
Yes. Of course.
Did you want to continue a relationship with your children?
Definitely. They're my daughters.
Okay. And when did you discover that Miss, and I apologize if I'm going to butcher your name, ma'am, Candida, when did she,
Cabada.
Cababa?
Cabada.
When did she tell you she was going to move?
A couple days before they moved, and I was actually through a text message through
objection
my father.
non-responsive.
Okay. Hang on.
You know,
Hey, sir, focus in on the question that's being asked and only answer that question, okay?
Okay. So you found out a couple of days before they moved. How did you find out?
through a text message via my father's phone.
Did you already file your petition to modify at that point?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. You filed your petition in July of 2019, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And you have requested that this court change the listing of conservators at this time, correct?
Yes.
At the time of your final decree of divorce, what rights did you have as a father to, for example, go to the school or any of those things?
Basically none.
Okay. Are you asking for those rights today?
Yes.
Do you think that those rights, if they were granted to you, would be in the best interest of your children?
Yes, definitely.
Okay. During the time of divorce, you had a very limited visitation schedule, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Do you know where your children are currently residing?
Yes.
And where is that?
Burleson, Texas.
Okay. And how far is Burleson, Texas from El Paso, Texas?
It's about 10 hours
Okay. By car?
by car. Yes, by vehicle.
Okay. And have you attempted to go and visit your children in Burleson, Texas?
Yes, once only.
Okay. When was that?
That was January of this year.
Okay. And how long, can you explain to this court when you got to Burleson, about what time was it? Can you recall?
Well, we got there a day before,
Okay.
and picked them up at the scheduled time and dropped them off at the scheduled time.
Okay.
But they
And then-
weren't able to spend the night or anything.
Okay. Did you get to see them later that weekend at all?
No,
Okay. So you didn't get to see them on Saturday or Sunday?
that's correct.
Okay. Do you know if it was a scheduled weekend for you on Sunday?
Well, I'm not sure.
Okay.
But
Did you attempt to notify the mother prior to your arrival?
yes,
Okay. And did you attempt to get more visitation time with your children after making the 10-hour trip?
yes.
Objection relevance.
One
I'm just
second.
gonna unmute myself, sorry, overruled. Go ahead.
Okay. At this time, based upon the distance change, do you believe that the order as is has become unworkable?
Yes.
Objection leading.
Thank.
How would you describe the order right now?
Well, I haven't seen my daughter since, what was it, a couple weeks ago. And before that, it had been months.
Okay. Did you attempt to contact the mother of the children to schedule other visitations in between January of this year and when you got them in June?
Yes.
Okay. And what was the status of those attempts?
Well, it would come back and say that they had activities with the church and that it was going to be difficult.
Okay. And were you afforded any time, specific time that you'd be allowed to see your children if you were to make the 10-hour trip each way?
No.
Okay. Do you believe it's in the best interest of your children not to see you?
No.
Okay. After you were acquitted of the charge, did you continue to attempt to visit your children?
Yes.
Okay. And when they were here in town, did you follow up on Fridays and Sundays?
Yes.
Were you ever denied any possession and access during any of those times that you were allowed possession and access?
Yes. Sundays.
Okay. Can you give me an example of one occasion that sticks in your mind as how you were denied and when you were denied?
There's a couple. I mean, like I said, there was one of the times was we got a response from her saying that she had a scheduled time with her father, and I know her father is
Objection
out of
non-responsive.
town. So
I'm sorry.
she canceled.
Hang on.
I'm objecting as to non-responsive.
Sustained.
I think he's describing the incident that I asked him to give me one incident.
Yes, but I think we were going a little beyond that.
Okay. Can you describe one incident where you were denied on a Sunday when you asked to have your children?
Yes. Well, that Sunday we were denied because of other plans that were in order for her.
Okay. How would you describe those denials?
Well, unfair.
Okay. Did they happen often?
Yes.
Okay. Did you ever file an enforcement of your order?
No, I don't believe so.
Okay. Sir, you have asked that this court order that the children come back to El Paso. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Can you describe for this court why you believe that would be in the best interest of your children?
Well, this is where they grew up. This is where they have their side of the family as well. You know, my family is devastated after their move, and you know, we really want to have them. They're the only ones, you know, not at the family reunions, and we're a very family oriented family.
Okay.
And me as a father, well, I'd like to see my daughters grow up. I'd like to be in their lives as much as possible, especially in regards to their education, their health, especially in this situation right now, COVID. I feel like throughout the whole pandemic, I haven't really known anything, you know, how they're being protected or how they're dealing with the situation.
Sir, do you even know what school they're attending at this time?
I do.
Okay, what's the name of it?
I don't know.
Okay. And how would you get notifications of if they're missing school or anything like that?
I wouldn't.
Okay. How would you get notifications of if the children had to go to the doctor for some kind of an emergency?
I wouldn't.
Would you be able to talk to any doctors if your children were having any troubles?
No, not at all.
Okay. Would you be able to talk to any therapists if the children were having any troubles?
No.
Okay. And have you attempted to do those things since the rendition of this order?
Yes.
Okay. How did you attempt to do those things?
I know a couple of physicians here in town, but you know, they come back with the same answer. It's patient information is.
And again, this is based upon the fact that you had a criminal charge pending at that time.
That's correct.
Okay. And sir, are you aware if the respondent has become married at this time?
I'm sorry, can you ask that again?
Sure. Do you know if your ex is married at this time?
Yes.
Okay. And have you met her husband?
No.
Okay. Do you know anything about him?
No, not at all.
Okay. And do you believe your children had grown up here, correct?
Yes.
Where was their, on their mother's side, where is that family?
They're in Juarez.
Okay, so they're here?
Yeah.
Here locally?
Yes, they're here in El Paso and Juarez. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And where is all your family reside?
Here in El Paso.
Okay. And you don't own a residence in Dallas?
No.
Okay. And just for the court, about how far is Burleson from Dallas?
I believe it's about 4 hours. Or no, it should be less. It's about 2 to 1 hour.
Okay.
Yeah.
And your children are not old enough to fly by themselves, correct?
No. No, they're
Okay.
not.
And with the COVID situation, do you believe it would be in the best interest for your children to fly anyway?
No, not at all.
Currently, sir, do you have a driver's license that's valid?
Not currently, but
Okay.
I am working on it.
How do you get all the way up to Burleson then?
Yeah, it's very difficult. It would have to be through my father, but then again, it's working with his schedule as well. I can't.
Okay. And what are you currently doing for a living now?
I'm a contractor.
Okay. And how long have you been a contractor?
I've been doing it for about 6 years now.
Okay. At the time of your divorce, were you working at the same place that you're working now?
No,
Okay. When did you change to this job?
Actually, right. Well, while I was going through the criminal case, I
Okay.
lost all my medical education, I guess.
Okay. What were you doing at the time of the divorce?
I was working for a cardiologist as his assistant, um, and wanted to further my medical education, but I wasn't able to since I had a criminal case pending.
Okay.
Nobody would hire me, so that's when I decided to, get into contracting.
Okay. And what are your normal work hours every week?
As of now,
Yes.
6 a.m. to 10 p.m.
Okay. Every day of the week?
every day of the week. But I mean, I schedule everything, so
Okay.
I'm
So
able to have flexibility.
there's no set schedule then.
Exactly.
Okay. But if you have a job going on, do you have to be there?
No, not necessarily.
Okay. Can you travel to pick up your children?
No.
Okay. Why?
Well, if it's scheduled, yes, but I can't. From within a couple hours, it would be difficult.
Right. If they
But-
were here in town, could you pick them up if they had any problems?
Oh yes, definitely.
Okay. No matter where you were.
No matter where,
Okay.
be in Horizon, I'd still go anyway.
But in Burleson, that would be very difficult.
Very difficult, yes.
Okay. And if you were permitted, if this court decides that I'm not going to bring the children back because it's not in their best interest, which is the court's decision,
Right.
what kind of visitation schedule would you then want for over 100 miles?
Basically, just standard. I really don't know an exact schedule, but I would request for the standard visitation in this.
Okay. During the last 2 months, you got to see your children exactly when?
So I believe it was July 22nd to the 30th. And then a weekend before that, about 2 weeks before that for a weekend.
Okay. So you got to see them for Father's Day this year?
Yes,
Okay. And then a period of time in July, correct?
that's correct. Yes.
When the children stayed with you, where did they stay?
With me at home.
Okay. And can you describe your home for this court?
Well, we have a pool, and they love the pool. They love being outdoors. They love hanging out. I rented a inflatable slide,
Okay.
water slide, and they have a playground in the back as well with swings and whatnot, and then countless amount of toys between that we've racked up over the years.
And sir, can you describe how big is your house, that kind of stuff?
It's a 4-bedroom house, 3 bathrooms. It's been I actually recently remodeled, helped my parents remodel it, and yeah, we live comfortably.
Do your parents reside with you?
Yes, they do.
Okay. And who else resides there?
My older brother.
Okay. And do the children have a place of their own in your house?
Yes, they do.
Okay. And during the visitations, do you have all the necessary stuff to travel them from Burleson to El Paso?
Yes, car seats, all the necessities.
Okay. Sir, are you asking for more time with your children?
Yes,
Okay. Do you believe that would be in the best interest of your children?
yes, definitely. I'm their biological father.
Okay. And what has changed in your life since the divorce decree?
Well, my relationship with my daughters, basically, that's all, and it changes my my motivation to work, to you know, I believe I'd be a lot better if I could see or have more contact with my daughters.
Okay. Did you believe that at the time that the divorce decree was being done too?
Yes, definitely.
Okay. Then why did it take you 4 years to come and ask for it?
Well, I was going through the criminal case. It was difficult too. And we, at one point through the criminal case, we were threatened by her mother.
Objection. Assumes facts not in evidence. Assumes for a statement of hearsay. It is non-responsive to the question asked.
Counsel?
I'll let you rule on the objection, Your Honor.
No, sustain.
Sir, do you believe it would be in the best interest of your children to come back here?
Yes.
If not, are you asking for regular standard visitation?
Yes.
Including the fact that you had resided here and she was residing here at the time you filed the modification, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. So you would ask that she pick up from you after visitation?
Yes.
Okay. Do you believe those orders would be in the best interest of your children if this court were to grant them?
Yes.
Are you also asking for mutual injunctions at this time?
Yes.
Okay. You don't want to be able to talk to the children about whatever's going on at mom's house and then have them interrogated when they come back from your visitation, correct?
That's correct.
And you think that would be in the best interest of your children also?
Yes, it would bring down a lot of stress on them. They're very young.
Now, can I ask you during the 10-day visit or the 8-day visit,
Yes.
how many times a day would the children get a phone call from their mother?
I'd say anywhere from 6 to 10.
Okay. And during those days, was there any day where something, and how would their mother contact them?
So she would call she provided my older daughter Emilia a cell phone.
Okay. And wait 1 second. How old is Amelia?
She's 8 years old.
Okay. And she had a cell phone with her?
Yes.
Okay. And during the period of visitation with you, was there ever any time where that phone was turned off to your knowledge?
No, it had ran out of battery. She, being an 8-year-old, she didn't charge it.
Okay. And what happened? Who was contacted when that occurred?
My father was contacted and was told that
hang on. You can't tell me what your dad told you.
Yeah.
We can call him later. Okay. But so you were contacted or at least put on notice that her cell phone was off.
That's correct.
Okay. Are you asking that there be an allowance for reasonable electronic access during the week?
Yes.
For the party not in possession?
Yes.
Do you think 2 times a week is enough?
Yes.
Okay. I have no further questions for the witness.
Mr. Ronconi?
What kind of a cell phone does your daughter have? Is it an iPhone?
You're asking me or him?
No.
I'm asking him now.
The questions are still directed to Mr. Hernandez.
What kind of
Mr.
phone do I
Hernandez?
have?
What kind of phone did your daughter have when she came to be with you in El Paso from July the 27th to July the 30th? That was your testimony.
I believe it was an Android. I don't know what brand or what model.
Did you make any attempt to charge the phone?
No,
Why not?
I don't want to be responsible for it. It's not my.
You don't want to be responsible for charging your daughter's cell phone, is that correct?
Yeah.
And why not?
I wasn't aware that I was, I had to charge it.
You knew though, because you just testified to the court that Estefania was trying to reach the girls when they were with you, right?
Right.
And you knew that she couldn't if the cell phone died. Is that fair to say?
That's fair, yeah.
Okay. And Mr. Fernandez, you have used throughout your testimony the pronoun we. We were unable to pick them up. We were unable to see them. We were unable to talk to them. Who's we?
Me and my father and my mother.
Is your visitation for your parents or is it for you?
For me.
Okay. But your parents have, for every visit when they were in El Paso, your parents have picked them up, correct?
Right.
And for every visit, your parents have returned them, correct?
Correct.
And that January visit, your parents or your father drove to Burleson, correct?
No.
Who was driving with you then?
Well, I wasn't driving, but I was with him.
Then who was driving?
My father.
Okay, so when you said no, not your father, who else was driving? I'm confused.
No, nobody but my father.
Okay. The divorce decree was agreed, right?
Yes.
And you've looked at it very carefully, correct?
No.
And on page 4, you know that you have a right to access to your children's medical and educational records. You know that, right?
No, I did not.
Yet you're asking the court to change that now, correct?
Correct.
Although you did not actually know the rights that you've had for the last 4 years.
No.
As a sole managing conservator, Estefania had every right to move from El Paso, correct?
I don't know. I didn't know.
Have you looked at the final decree, Mr. Hernandez?
Yes.
And so you know that it says that she has the right to establish the residence of the children and there is no restriction, correct?
Well, I didn't know that it was, it could be done that so all of a sudden without any formal, notice.
Mr. Hernandez, have you seen page 6 of the final decree that Judge I would move to admit as R1?
Any objection to R1?
Again, Your Honor, I announced earlier, I have no objection. The court can take judicial notice of it anyway.
Okay, R1's admitted.
And on that document and on that page, which is page 6, it says that she has the right to designate the primary residence of the children, correct?
Correct.
And it does not say in El Paso County, Texas, correct?
Correct.
And that was agreed to, correct?
Yes, under certain circumstances, yes.
This is the only court order that you have right now, correct?
Correct.
So there is no order that says that she has to stay here, correct?
I believe so.
So when she moved to Burleson, she had every right to move to Burleson, correct?
But I don't know.
Mr. Hernandez, you're asking the court to change this document and have a different one in place.
Yes.
So you don't know what the prior document said?
No, I know what it said. I just don't know the legality of how it was done.
You were represented by an attorney at the time the divorce decree was entered, correct?
That's correct.
And your signature is on that document along with that of, was it Ms. Stillinger that represented you?
Yes, Mary.
Okay. And so you had the advice of counsel before you signed it. Is that fair to say?
Yes. But,
Yes?
Yes.
Okay. And
Along
because
with
it
the
doesn't,
death threat.
I'm going to object to non-responsive. I think Mr.
I couldn't make out what he said, so I couldn't tell if it was responsive or not.
He said it was along with a death threat.
Okay.
So my objection is non-responsive.
Well, sustained.
And Mr. Hernandez, of course, you're represented by counsel now, right?
Yes,
And you were represented by counsel in the aggravated assault case, correct?
that's correct.
Okay. And although this document says that Estefania can move anywhere in the world with the kids, you now want her to pay for travel expenses or come all the way back to El Paso to pick up the kids?
Yes.
Okay, why is that fair?
Well, I'm thinking about my daughters, and it would be
Your Honor.
easier on them.
Your Honor, I have to object. I think it draws a legal conclusion.
I'm sorry, Judge. I thought his request for relief was that she come and get the kids and bring them back to her.
Because that's what the standard of possession order provides.
I disagree. There are
I
two
understand you do, but that's a legal issue.
types. Then how is it that your client can ask for travel expenses or a sharing of travel if I can't ask him why he thinks that's fair?
I'm going to allow the question. Go ahead.
How is that fair, Mr. Hernandez, that Estefania should have to pay half of the travel expenses or come and get them from you?
I mean, I think it would be, it would fall under her responsibility. I didn't know she was going to move. She decided to move. I don't think I should be held responsible for those.
Why not?
Because I had no say in her moving.
But you have an agreed order that says that she can move. You've already told the court that.
Well, under certain circumstances, yes.
Okay. And I think you had said that you want her to come and pick up the girls because that's best for them. I think you said that. Is that true?
Yes.
Okay. How is it best for your girls on a weekend? And you have Friday at 6 until Sunday at 6. That's what you've asked for. How is it best for your girls to travel 9 hours to El Paso on Friday overnight and then travel back to El Paso all day Sunday? How is that in their best interest?
Wait, how would they travel 2 times to El Paso?
The standard possession order, sir, and let me, I guess, preface it with this.
Yes.
You're asking for 1 weekend a month under the standard possession order if they live in Burleson.
Right.
And I believe that the court, if the court so orders, would allow you to pick them up on Friday at 6 and return them Sunday at 6. But you're asking that Estefania come and get them from El Paso in order to return them to her house by Sunday at 6 o'clock.
Yes.
Okay. Or better yet, she could pick them up at 6 o'clock on Sunday and travel overnight so that the girls could be there for school on Monday morning. Is that correct?
Yes.
How is that best for your children?
Well, it's one trip. I go pick them up and then she comes in and picks them up.
Tell me, what period of time would they actually be in El Paso then? If you're picking them up Friday at 6 o'clock.
Right. So they'd be basically Saturday and the morning of Sunday, or the morning and afternoon of Sunday.
Okay, and the rest of the time, you'll agree with me, there'll be 18 to 20 hours in a vehicle on that weekend, correct?
They'd be about 18, right?
Okay, and that's good for them. You're okay with that?
Actually, I'm not. I'd rather them be here in El Paso, and
But
we
if
would
they-
avoid all that.
Sure, but if they are not, and maybe I don't understand your proposal, but what has been given to me as your proposal by Mr. McGloshen
Right.
indicates that you want her to retrieve them from you after your period of visitation. And maybe I'm mistaken, sir. What is it that you're asking for the weekend for pickup and drop off?
What Bill has requested.
And that's the Friday to Sunday, and as you described it to the judge, with the 18 hours in the car. Is that correct?
Yeah. Well, yes.
Yes? Okay. And you only pay $200 in child support, right?
That's correct.
Objection is to relevance.
It's as to travel expenses, Judge.
I'll allow-
Judge, there's no pleadings to change anything.
It's only as to travel.
Well, I understand that. I'm going to allow it. Go ahead.
You only pay $200 in child support for 2 kids, correct?
That's correct.
And how much do you earn right now? And not for purposes of asking for a modification on child support.
Well, I'm still going to object, Your Honor. I don't believe it's relevant.
Overruled. Answer. Sir,
Yes.
answer the question, please.
Oh, I make about anywhere from $2,000 to $3,000 a month.
Sorry, Judge, I had to take some notes real fast. Okay. And when is it that you want the girls to be returned to El Paso County?
When is it that I
When?
want
I'm sorry?
as soon as possible?
When would they start school if they started school in El Paso? What's that date?
I believe it would be well, they'd be enrolled now, and they would have started it. Yeah, I wouldn't be able to tell you an exact date.
What school did they attend when they were in El Paso?
She went to Zach White. Emilia went. My oldest daughter went to Zach White, and my youngest was at a day school, Montessori.
And they were there at the time that they left El Paso?
Yes,
Okay. And what was the name of their physician?
I never knew.
I think
The last one I knew was Dr. Roberto Canales.
Okay, and when is it that you thought your children saw Miss Dr. Canales?
I wouldn't be able to tell you.
Do you know that the final decree of divorce gives you access to their medical records?
Been asked and answered.
Counsel?
I'll assume that he remembers then, Judge. Mr. Hernandez, when is it that you contacted Dr. Canales for information about your girls?
I don't recall.
Did you ask their mother at any point in time in the last 4 years about their health?
I don't have communication with her.
You'll agree with me that the divorce decree provides some information about both of you, including your ex-wife's phone number, correct?
Yes,
And you have never texted her in the 4 years since the final decree was entered, correct?
correct.
Have you provided her with your recent phone number?
I haven't had contact with her. I haven't been able to.
Okay, now you've told the court already that you communicate through your father with Estefania, correct?
Yes.
And why is it that you communicate with your ex-wife about your children indirectly?
Just like the criminal case, I see it as a risk to communicate with her because I don't want any future allegations to be brought up. And this was a recommendation from my previous lawyers as well.
Do you understand that the final decree of divorce actually says that you have to provide her with the current phone number?
Yes, and I believe I did.
Okay, when is it that you provided her with that phone number then? Because you told the court that she doesn't communicate with you.
I don't have an exact date.
Okay, would it have been in the last couple of years, the last couple months?
I believe so. It should have been in the divorce decree.
Okay, and I can find that number, but if you are communicating indirectly with Estefania through your father, how is it that you can be a joint managing conservator, Mr. Hernandez?
Well, that would change.
How will that change?
Well, I'd be more willing to co-parent our daughters.
And what makes you more willing now?
What makes me more willing?
Yes,
And
sir.
I've always been willing.
But you're communicating through your father, I believe you said.
Right.
But that's going to change if you're called a joint managing conservator?
I'd like it to, yes.
Tell the court how the two of you are going to communicate then if you're appointed a joint managing conservator.
Via cell phone or email, whatever is best.
What is your current cell phone number?
At 915-276-5393.
Okay. And a current email address, sir?
f3rh10@gmail.com.
Okay, I'm going to have to ask you for that one more time.
Okay, f3rh10@gmail.com.
Okay, I had some questions about your employment, and maybe I misunderstood, Mr. Hernandez, because sometimes the audio is not real great for me. But I think you said you started as a contractor 6 years ago?
Yes.
And you'll agree with me that 6 years ago, you were you were still married to Estefania,
Yes.
but then you told the court that you became a contractor right after you were acquitted, which was 2 years ago.
So difference between a contractor and getting into contracting is I was getting into learning the sales of the roofing business at that time.
I
I don't understand your question.
So 6 years ago, who were you working for?
Nobody. I was working for a cardiologist.
So who are you working for now?
Myself.
And maybe I misunderstood your testimony, but I thought you said that you had been a contractor for 6 years.
No.
And I'm not understanding.
No, that's incorrect.
You testified you've been a contractor for 6 years. Yes or no?
No, I said that I was in the business of contracting for about 6 years.
So you've been in your current position as a self-employed person for about 2 years?
For about four years.
Okay. And you tell the court that you have a great deal of flexibility with your schedule, I assume because you're self-employed?
Yes.
Okay. So tell the court about the January 2020 visit. Who arranged that visit in Burleson with Estefania?
Mr. McGlashan and myself.
In January?
Yes.
Okay. That wasn't something that your father arranged with Estefania in January?
Yes, it could have been. It could have been my father and Bill. I mean, me and Bill. But it's always it's always between us three.
Did you contact Estefania personally about that visit in January?
No.
You'll agree with me that the current schedule doesn't allow you visitation on Saturdays, correct?
That's correct.
So she didn't allow you to have them on Saturday in the January visit, did she?
That's correct.
You're not critical of her for that, though, certainly.
Can you repeat that question?
You're not critical of her following the
that
court
mean?
order.
What does that mean exactly?
You don't have visitation on Saturday, right?
Right.
But when Mr. McGlashan asked you questions about the visit in January, you said that she didn't let you see them on Saturday, correct?
That's correct.
But you had no right to see them, correct?
That's correct.
Did you attempt to see them on Sunday and she said no?
Well, we didn't make the trip, unfortunately, because we weren't going to make the trip out for, over 18 hours to only see them 2-3 hours that she was allowing us to see.
That 18-hour trip is pretty grueling, isn't it?
No, it's the fact that I wasn't going to be able to see them for more than 2-3 hours.
And maybe I'm confused about dates, but I thought you told Mr. McGlashan that you had visited with the girls, your father had been driving, and you guys went to Burleson in January of 2020.
That's correct.
Okay. And you saw them on Thursday, right?
I believe so, yes.
But you didn't see them on Sunday, correct?
That's correct.
And is it because Estefania refused to let you see them or some other reason?
I don't recall.
Okay. And since that time, Mr. McGlashan asked you a question about having asked to see them since January. And you said that you had. Sir, when did you ask her to see the kids between January of 2020 and the time that we reached the agreement so you could see them on Father's Day weekend?
Well, you're asking if I personally asked, and that would be, it would be through my father.
Okay. How many times did you ask your father to communicate with her to see the girls?
Well, after that time that we were, answered that they had activities going on, we knew that it wasn't going to be, it wasn't going to be something that could be done. Previously, she had wanted to not hire any lawyers and do this, but I wanted it to hire a lawyer so we can have a formal schedule and have it written down in paper.
You actually have a formal schedule right now, though, don't you?
That hasn't been met.
And have you gone out to Burleson on the Fridays or the Sundays that this formal order allows you?
No.
Why not?
Well, it's been denied. I mean, I've been denied visits before.
But you'll agree. Okay, but you haven't asked since January, the January visit, right?
Well, this has been asked and answered again, Your Honor, so I'm going to object.
Thank.
What kind of visitation do you want for the holidays, Mr. Hernandez?
Standard, just standard visitation.
What is that?
I believe it's one Christmas they spend it with me, and then the following year they spend it with her. Thanksgiving, all holidays.
Have you had any holidays pursuant to the last order, the final decree?
No,
That's right. The final decree doesn't provide that you have any holiday time. Is that correct?
I believe so.
And the final decree does not provide for any extended summertime, does it?
No.
And up until this past July, just last month, your children had not even spent more than 3 days with you in the last 4 years, correct?
I believe that's correct.
Okay. And what kind of summer visitation are you asking for then?
I believe it's 30 days. 30, I'm not sure. I think it's 30 to 60 days visitation.
And although you've not had them, but for this past 10 days, this past summer, more than 3 days in the last 4 years, you believe it's in the best interest of your children that they spend 60 or 30 days with you next summer?
Yes.
Why?
Make up for time lost.
Although you were acquitted 2 years ago, you did not file a modification after you were acquitted, correct?
That's correct.
So why is it that you did not file at that time in order to make up for time lost?
I can't afford 2 lawyers.
And I'm sorry, after you were acquitted, did you continue to pay criminal counsel?
Yes, my debt.
Okay, so you waited to pay off your criminal counsel before you hired someone to file your modification? Is that what you're saying?
Because of my economical status, yes.
And you were working 2 years ago when you were acquitted, or no?
Yes.
Okay. If you have them for 30 to 60 days in the summer, are you going to be able to take off work?
Yes, definitely.
So you can take that kind of leave?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And you want to have her pick them up from you after holidays? Is that what you're asking for?
Yes.
Now, during this period of time in July that they were just with you last month, why is it that you had them sleep in the bedroom with you and your girlfriend and not in another room?
Objection as soon as facts not in evidence.
John Coney.
I'll ask a different question.
All right.
Mr. McGlashan asked you whether or not you had accommodations for your girl, and you said yes.
That's correct.
Did they sleep in a separate room from you and your girlfriend over the summer visitation?
Yes.
Again, as soon as facts not in evidence, I object.
Overruled.
All right.
Answer.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Why is it that you had your girl asleep in the same room with you and your girlfriend during this first summer visit in 4 years?
They did not.
Where did they sleep then?
They slept in their own beds.
Okay, tell the court about this bedroom then.
Yes.
And how does it have 2 beds, bunk beds?
It's 2 beds. It was previously our gym, and we converted it to the girls' bedroom.
Okay, describe this conversion from gym to bedroom. What does it look like right now?
It's 2 beds and a lot of toys.
And you said that we have a lot of toys for them. Is that
Yes.
because your parents buy toys for them?
Well, me, my parents, my family, and friends, yes.
When was the last time you bought a toy for either child?
This last visit,
And what did you buy?
Bought her a bunch of stuff. I mean, I guess the biggest toy I got her was it's like a 4 foot tall Little Mermaid doll, and clothing. Yeah.
Why don't you have a driver's license?
Because I'm working on getting, you know, some traffic tickets resolved.
So give the court all the reasons why you no longer have a license or you don't have a license right now.
It's been asked and answered, Your Honor. I object.
Overruled. Answer.
Because of traffic tickets. Like I said, it's been hard to pay attorneys and everything else. And it should get resolved in the next, you know, 2 to 3 weeks.
And there are no other reasons why you don't have a valid driver's license, correct?
That's correct. I have traffic tickets. That's basically it.
Sorry, Judge, I was looking for something. 1 second. And you gave the court a few reasons as to why they should be returned. And one of them is that they grew up here, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And that you wanted to have them for family reunions, is that correct?
No, that's not correct. I mean, it's mostly because I want to be part of their life as a father, as their biological father.
Why is this about you?
Why is this about me? It's not.
Okay. So when you talk about that, I need them, I want them in my life, why is it that we don't focus on the girls?
It is mainly for the girls.
Has your daughter texted you since she left in July?
Yes.
Have you responded ever?
Yes.
Have you responded each time?
No, I haven't been able. No.
Has she called you?
About once or twice.
And have you returned those calls?
Yes.
How many days did it take you to return them?
No days.
No days,
No.
correct? Okay. Sorry, Judge, I think I'm almost done. I'm looking at my multiple notes. I have nothing further at this time.
McGlashan.
Sir, when you were going through this criminal problem, were you out on bond?
Yes.
What was one of the terms and conditions of your bond with respect to contacting your wife?
To not have absolute contact.
Okay, so for that 2-year period, you were ordered by a court not to have contact with her.
Objection as soon
correct.
as fact's not in evidence. There's no document before the court.
Well, but he just testified to it.
Overruled. Answer.
Yes. Yes, Mr. McGlashan.
I have no further questions for the witness.
Mr. Hernandez, do you have any document that reflects that you were prohibited from contacting and Mr. McGlashan called her your wife? Do you have anything that shows that?
Not at hand, but I'm pretty sure we can find it.
And there's a document that says that while you were out on bond, that you couldn't contact your wife, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, but you divorced in 2016, right?
Right.
Okay, pass the witness.
No further questions.
Sir, did the order identify the person by their relationship to you or by name?
I believe it was by name.
Do you believe it was by name?
I don't recall. I apologize.
The court order is telling you what you can and cannot do, sir. I would think you'd remember.
I remember, yeah.
You
I
don't?
mean,
You don't remember?
I do not remember.
All right. Any
Well,
other questions?
Yeah, based upon that, do you know if it said complaining witness?
Oh, yes.
Okay,
Objection
nothing further.
leading. Excuse me.
Okay. All right. I have a couple of questions, sir.
Yes, sir.
Sir, you don't have a driver's license. You said you're a contractor. Currently, you're a contractor.
Yes, sir.
How do you get to your work sites?
I have well, actually, my brother is the one that's driving me around.
Okay. Does he work with you?
Yes.
You were asked why you don't have a driver's license. You said it was for traffic tickets, correct?
That's correct. Yes.
Like that is the only reason you don't have a driver's license?
That's yes. Yeah.
Yes? No?
Yes, it is. Yes.
All right. No other questions for the witness?
No, sir.
Mr.
Hey,
Purdy?
Sir, when the judge asked you a question about how you got to work, I believe you said because I have was it a work truck?
No.
Okay. So does your brother drive your car?
No.
Do
I
you
don't
have
have
a
a-
car?
No, I don't.
During the time that the girls were here in July, did you ever drive them up to
No.
Scenic Drive and you were the
No.
driver?
No.
Pass the witness.
Anything else, Mr. Blush?
No. Actually, yeah, one question based upon that. Did you go to Scenic Drive?
Yes, we did.
Okay, and who's we?
Me, my girlfriend, and the girls.
Okay, nothing further.
Any other questions for the witness?
Oh, Your
No,
Honor.
Your Honor.
Okay. All right. We're going to take a break, about
Yes,
10
sir.
minutes, and then we'll come back. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
You can go ahead and mute. I'd suggest that everybody mute.
Okay.
Hey, Bill, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
We have a major leak in the building right now.
What?
Water's gushing from the ceiling. So
Not even
I'm gonna
raining.
try and control it. No, it's inside. Pipe broke inside.
Okay.
So I'm gonna do everything that I can, but I'm gonna let Judge know I'm gonna have to jump out as soon as the plumber gets here
Okay.
because it's really bad. I'm sorry.
Do what I can. There he
Okay,
is.
thanks. Okay. Hi, Judge.
Don't you have an inflatable raft anywhere? Yeah.
Oh my goodness, it's really bad out there. I'm sorry, Judge, the upstairs pipe has broken, and it's gushing into the hallway. So we have a plumber on the way, but I'm sorry if I have to take care of something, if I could just let the court know. I don't think I do. I
Fernando,
think
can she
everyone's,
borrow the slide?
Definitely.
If
Still got
we
it.
if we need to stop, we need to stop.
I understand.
You know, I think buildings may be somewhere in that list, but
I'm sorry.
just let me know.
I'm sorry. I knew something was going on because I heard a lot of noise, but then when I walked outside, it's cascading from the ceiling. So
Okay, give me a minute and we'll get started. All right, everybody back?
yes, Judge.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, Pat, ready?
Ready, Judge?
All right. Okay, call your next witness.
I'll call Estefania, please.
Estefania.
Okay, my bad, Judge.
I have to give you a hard time, sorry.
Judge, they're going to put me on Spanish talk radio here, and I don't know how to do it. So I'm going to be working on that for the next 2 days.
Okay. All right, ma'am, I'll just remind you that you are already under oath, okay?
Ma'am, have you gone over the proposal that you sent to the court here today? Hello?
Yes, sir, I have.
Okay. First proposal that I want to ask you about is the injunctions you put in there. That Fernando is prohibited from driving with your children. Is that ever, or is it only when he doesn't have a license?
That's only when he doesn't have a valid driver's license.
Okay.
Mr. McGlashan, let me stop you. Would it
Yes,
assist you? I don't think there's any objection to any of this, right?
No, Your Honor.
So would it assist you if I share the screen?
Sure, Judge.
Keep going and then I'll pop it up.
Okay. Another thing is that he's prohibited from tobacco use and to include no vaping. Is that forever or only when the children are present?
That's when the children are present.
Okay. Now, suitable accommodations is not defined. Suitable accommodations according to whom?
I'm sorry, I don't understand your question.
Okay. Well, a suitable accommodation to somebody who doesn't have enough money to put their kids on a bed is probably a little bit different than somebody who does. Is that fair to say?
I don't agree.
Okay. So children should always be on a bed. It doesn't matter if they can't afford one or not, correct?
Correct.
All right. And so it should be according to your suitable accommodations, or whose suitable accommodations are we talking about?
My children's accommodations, they're used to having a bedroom, their own bed. I would like
Okay.
to have the same thing that I provide for them.
Okay, so it has to be exactly the same as your house.
No, sir, not exactly.
Okay. Let me ask you, at the time of your divorce, there was a criminal case, correct?
Correct,
You were aware of that criminal case, correct?
correct.
You were listed as a sole managing conservator at that time, correct?
Yes, sir.
Subsequent to that time, the criminal case, Fernando was acquitted, correct?
Correct. To my understanding, yes.
Which means found not guilty.
Correct.
Okay. You proposed that he have 1 weekend a month with 30 days notice to you, correct?
Correct.
And he would have to take off all day Thursday, correct?
Correct.
And be able to visit till Friday at 8:30, correct?
Correct.
And then get nothing on Saturday,
Correct.
correct? And then be able to visit on Sunday until 9 o'clock, or I mean, till 8:30 at night, correct?
Correct.
And then you expect him to drive home after that, correct?
Correct. Yes.
And you think that's fair?
I think it's fair for my children. Yes.
Okay. You moved your children from El Paso County, Texas, correct?
Yes, sir.
You were living here prior to that, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. How long after the divorce did you get married?
Probably 3 years.
3 years. Okay, so in 2019.
Yes, sir.
Prior to 2019, you were living here, the children were going to school here, correct?
Yes, sir.
You had no intention of going anywhere else at that point, correct?
Correct.
And it was only after your husband got offered a job somewhere else that you decided to move, correct?
In part, it wasn't only that.
Okay. But that was the main goal, correct? So that he could become the assistant pastor or whatever he is, correct?
You know, I'm a registered nurse, so they pay way more here than in El Paso.
Okay. Did you get a job?
Yes, sir.
When did you get a job?
A month ago.
Okay. Because when I asked you the questions on the interrogatories, which I've asked be admitted, you didn't have a job at that time, correct?
I didn't. There was a hiring because of COVID.
Okay. When do you work?
I have to put from 35 hours to 40 hours a week, and I do Monday through Thursday, sometime Friday, but I'm off on Saturday for sure, and sometimes they put me on Sundays too.
Okay. So you're pretty much working every day that you don't go to church, correct?
I'm not working every day that I go to church. I do 12-hour shifts, so it's mostly 3 days a week.
Okay. And who are your children with during those 12-hour shifts?
My husband.
Okay. And your children have known your husband for approximately a year and a half, correct?
No, sir, they've known him for more time.
Okay, well, were you dating him before you got married here?
Of course, yes.
So he was here too?
He wasn't living in El Paso, but he visited.
Okay, where was he living?
He was living in Puerto Rico, and then he moved to Houston.
Okay. And how did you meet him?
We've known each other since childhood. Both grew up in Ciudad Juarez, and then were raised in El Paso, Texas.
Okay, so he's from, or he was raised here at least, correct?
Correct.
You were raised here, or here in Juarez, correct?
Correct, sir.
Okay. And outside of you and him, you didn't have any other family in Burleson or wherever you're at, correct?
Correct.
Okay. All your family remains in this area?
Yes, sir. And
Okay.
in Los Angeles as well.
Right.
Mhm.
And you propose only Thanksgiving break, correct?
Correct.
No Christmas break?
No Christmas break.
But do you celebrate Christmas?
We do, sir, yes.
So he shouldn't be able to see his children on any Christmas, correct?
You know how he's asking things, I don't agree the way he's asking for things, so no.
I understand, ma'am. I'm going over what you put on here.
Yeah, that's okay, so.
So
That's
you put on here that he doesn't get any Christmas ever, correct?
correct.
You think that's in the best interest of the children?
I think so, because they've spent Christmas.
Your Honor, after I think so, it's
Okay,
non-responsive.
that's correct. I agree with that.
Okay. The electronic communication. Is it true that you called your children at least 6 to 10 times a day while they were here visiting?
No, that's not true.
Okay. Do you have phone records to prove that?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Did you turn those over in discovery?
I didn't, I wasn't asked for them.
Oh, but you were. And you said you would supplement, which you never did, correct?
I'm sorry, I don't understand the question.
Okay. You were asked for any electronic recordings, phone messages, those things, correct?
To which I believe I made an objection, Your Honor. So if you'll give me just a minute. Okay, found it. 1 second.
Well, I think the court already has it before it, so.
Okay, let's move on.
Okay. Ma'am, your children are not involved in any extracurricular activities at this time?
They are, it's different because of the COVID, but they are.
Okay. You objected to that question?
Are you asking me?
I'm asking her.
No, I didn't object to that question.
Okay, you didn't answer it on your interrogatories, did you?
And let me look at answers to interrogatories, Judge, because on request for production, Mr. McGlashan referred to phone records request, but there were no requests made. So if you'll give me just 1 second.
It's number 22.
An objection was made and no motion was filed in order for that objection to be heard by the court.
Okay, well, I don't know what objection was made, so.
It wouldn't lead to admissible evidence.
Okay. All right, well, let's go on.
Sure. Ma'am, you moved to Burleson, Texas, correct?
Correct.
You should bear no responsibility in paying any travel expenses for your children, correct?
Can you repeat that question again?
You should bear no responsibility for any travel expenses for your children to visit their father, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Based upon your possession schedule, Mr. Hernandez would have to come up and visit for 4 days and 3 nights in the Dallas area or in Burleson, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And it has to be within that jurisdiction, correct?
Can you explain what that means?
Sure, it says visit shall occur in the county in which the children reside.
It's a county of Tarrant, so it's a big county thing they have.
Okay. When did you notify my client of your children attending a private Christian school?
I notified grandpa.
That's not my question, ma'am.
So I never notified him.
Okay.
I didn't communicate with him at all.
When did you notify my client that you were leaving town?
I sent a notarized mail to his mail address on the divorce decree. I sent that out around October of this
Okay,
year.
when did you leave?
I left on December. I don't remember the exact date, but I know it was December. It was about to be New Year's Eve.
Okay, so you've been only there for 6 months?
Yes,
Okay. So the children were removed from the schools that they were attending here in the middle of the school year, correct?
no, sir, they weren't removed. They were transferred.
Okay, but they were attending one school and now are going to a different school in the middle of a school year, correct?
Correct.
Okay. You thought that was in the best interest of your children?
I did.
Okay. And you thought that the change in the geographic location of your children would be in their best interest, correct?
Correct.
But when I asked you as to whether or not there was a material and substantial change, you said there was not.
I don't recall you asking me that.
Okay. On question number 11 of your interrogatories, I asked specifically for each person whose circumstances you allege have materially and substantially changed since the rendition of the order to be modified, state the identity of the person, describe the circumstance that you allege have changed both as they existed in March of 2016 and how they currently exist, and why each change of circumstance supports your request that the order be modified. And you said, I am not making such an allegation. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. So it wasn't in the best interest of your children to go up there?
It is in the best interest of my children to be here.
Okay. And you would agree with me that's a material change in their life, correct?
Material change as in what are you referring to?
It is a material change in the children's life. To be
Material,
moved to Burleson, Texas and changed from school districts.
I apologize, I don't understand your question.
Okay. They were removed from public school and are now going to a private school, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you do not believe your children should have to come back to El Paso County, Texas, correct?
Yes, sir.
Now, you said that you got a job up there in nursing, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
How many jobs in El Paso did you look for before you left?
None, because when I took my NCLEX, I was here in Burleson. So I waited until I passed the NCLEX to look for jobs.
Okay. Do you know if they have jobs available in El Paso for nurses?
Objection relevance.
Overruled. Answer.
I honestly am not aware of that. I haven't looked that up.
Okay. Who had the job when you were moving to Burleson?
Can you be more specific?
Yes. Who had a job in December of this year in Burleson, Texas?
My husband.
Okay. And ma'am, during the children's visit here, you weren't present in El Paso, correct?
No,
You weren't?
I wasn't, no.
Okay. And are you opposed to injunctions about talking to the children about things with their father and things like that?
I'm not opposed to that.
Okay. I have no further questions for this witness, Your Honor.
Ms. Ronconi.
At the time the final decree of divorce was entered 4 years ago, did it require you to stay in El Paso?
No, ma'am.
When you moved in December of 2019, was there any restriction on you moving?
No, ma'am.
During the period of time that you were in El Paso before you moved to Burleson, who would communicate with you about picking up the children on Friday?
Hector Hernandez, the grandfather of my children.
And did your ex-husband ever communicate with you about picking up the children on Fridays?
No, ma'am.
Who communicated with you about picking up the children on the Sundays that are allowed in the order?
Hector Hernandez, the grandfather of my children.
Did your ex-husband ever communicate with you about picking up the children on those Sundays?
No, ma'am.
Has your ex-husband in the last 4 years communicated with you directly at any time?
No, ma'am.
Has your ex-husband asked for any additional time other than the time allowed in the decree since the decree was entered?
No, ma'am.
Has your ex-husband communicated with you directly or indirectly about how the children's health is, how they're doing?
Questions are leading by their very nature, and I object.
Dang.
Has there been any communication from your ex-husband to you about the children's schooling?
No, ma'am.
Has your ex-husband ever asked you about the name of the physician for the girls?
No, ma'am.
Why is it that the order, the final decree of divorce provides that he not have Saturday?
Because we were
Well, that would be speculative, and I object.
Sorry, I'm asking her why her agreed divorce decree says that he does not have Saturdays.
Well, then we're going beyond the order,
And
Your Honor.
Mr. McGlashan said the same thing. I mean, he gets to talk about the criminal case that was pending at the time the divorce decree was entered.
Don't go too far astray.
Okay. Ma'am, why is it that the Saturdays are not included in your final decree?
We keep the Sabbath.
And tell the court whether or not you have the same schedule for your religious formation now as you did then.
Yes, ma'am. I have the same schedule.
So has anything changed on the visitation schedule since the date of the final decree of divorce for the dates of Friday and Sunday to change?
No, ma'am.
Your proposal then provides for Thursday to Friday, yes?
Yes, ma'am.
And also on Sunday?
Yes, ma'am.
Why does it not include Saturday?
Because we keep the Sabbath. We go to church on Saturday.
Do your children keep the Sabbath as well?
Yes, ma'am. They enjoy it. They have
Well,
friends.
objection. It's speculation or hearsay.
Sustain.
You heard this afternoon your ex-husband testify that his schedule was flexible. Do you remember that?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you remember him saying anything about an inability to go to Burleson on a Thursday?
No, ma'am.
Did you hear him say anything about his inability to miss work on Monday?
No, ma'am.
What time do your girls start school when they have school?
8:30 a.m.
And what time does their school day end?
Monday through Thursday, 3:30 p.m. and on Fridays, 2:30 p.m.
And if you had to travel overnight on Sunday, beginning at 6 o'clock, because he's asking you to pick up the girls from El Paso, when would you be in Burleson the following morning, I guess early Monday morning? When would you arrive?
Around 2 a.m.
And so your girls would be starting school how many hours later?
Like 5 hours.
With regards to who is picking up and dropping off, what is your proposal with regards to who picks up and who drops off?
Fernando Hernandez is to pick up my girls from my residence and drop them off on my residence as well.
Had he contacted you since January of 2020, but before Father's Day weekend, about seeing the girls at any time?
No, ma'am.
Did he communicate with you this spring semester about how the girls were doing in school?
No, ma'am.
You have, in your proposal, provided for 30 days notice as opposed to the 14 days that's in the standard order. Why the 30 days and not the 14?
Because we arranged our schedule. We have schedules, and I want to be sure that he's gonna comply every month and to have a reliable schedule.
Have there been occasions where he asked to see the girls either directly or indirectly and he didn't come?
Yes.
On the holidays, has your ex-husband ever had a Thanksgiving holiday?
No.
Has your ex-husband ever had any part of the winter break?
Not for sleepover, but he has seen them on winter break.
Have there been an occasion where he asked to see them for a day or days on winter break?
No, not himself.
Has he ever asked to see them for spring break?
No.
Other than this past summer, has he asked for any extended summertime?
No.
He's asking for, according to what he said, 30 to 60 days in the summer with the girls. How do you feel about that?
Not, I don't agree.
Now you did reach an agreement with him with regards to this past summer. And how many days was that?
14 days.
And what is your proposal on summers that occur in the future?
14 days.
Were you able to communicate with your children during the 14 days that he had them?
Not every day.
Did you provide a cell phone to one of your children?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you provide a charger? That's the word.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So when is it during that 14-day period that you were unable to speak to your daughter on the phone?
The very first day they got there, she called me like around 4:30 a.m. I was waking up for work, and she said that they were arriving. She was very
Objection, it's hearsay.
Really doesn't go to the truth of the matter asserted, but I'll move on to another question.
All right.
Were you able to speak to your children for any of the days after they arrived in El Paso?
I'll say about 5 days out of the 10.
Did you have any problems after that?
Yes.
How was it that you were able to communicate with them after that?
I had to contact Hector Hernandez, my children's grandfather.
What is your relationship with your ex-husband's father? What's that like?
I try to make it as best as possible, but it's not the best relationship, I would say.
The phone number that's in the final decree of divorce, is it the phone number that you have now?
Yes, ma'am.
The email address in the final decree of divorce, is it the email address that you have now?
Yes, ma'am.
In the past 2 years, has your ex-husband emailed you about your children?
No, ma'am.
I've lost my document. And what is it that your husband does in Burleson?
He's an associate pastor.
Is it a church that you and your girls attend?
Yes, ma'am.
And I believe you told Mr. McGlashan that when you're working, that he is able to stay with the girls. I may have misheard that.
Yes, he's able to stay with the girls.
Are the girls going to be in online schooling beginning this month?
No, ma'am. They're gonna go in person.
And what school is it that they are attending there?
Burleson Adventist School.
Is there any part of your divorce decree that says that you cannot move them from public to private school?
No, ma'am.
Is there any provision in your divorce decree that says that you can't take them out of school after a fall semester and put them in a different school in the spring semester?
No, ma'am.
Are you able to make decisions with your ex-husband about the girls?
No, ma'am.
Was that true in 2016?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you want your girls to have a relationship with their dad?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you move to Burleson in order to make it difficult for him to see them?
No, ma'am.
And I think you said that, and forgive me, Mr. McGlashan asked, you moved to Burleson because your husband had a job there, and you said there were other reasons. Can you
Yes.
tell the court the other reasons that you moved to Burleson?
Yes, ma'am. First and foremost, I wanted to provide a stable home for my children. Unfortunately, I've been living in my mom's house this past 4 years. So my husband was able to provide a home for us here in Burleson. I wanted to provide a stable home for them. And also, it was because I wanted them to be more engaged in church activities. And because I knew that as a registered nurse, I was going to be making a higher income here in the Fort Worth area as well.
What period of time would your husband have the girls after school and until you came home? What period of time was that?
Around 2 hours.
Can you describe the relationship that your girls have with their stepfather?
Sure. They love him. They call him daddy. They rely on him. They ask him for advice. They do sports together. They pray together. They read the Bible together. They do homework together. They basically do everything together.
Do your children have friends now in Burleson?
Yes, ma'am.
Do they have any community at the church that they know?
Yes.
I'll pass the witness.
Ma'am, oh, sorry, Judge.
No, okay, go ahead.
So you sent the notice, you said in October, correct?
Correct. I said that. I'm not sure October is the exact date that
Okay. And you knew that this motion to modify was filed at that time, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And you had an attorney at that time, correct?
Correct.
And you knew there was always a chance that your children could be asked to come back to El Paso, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And you decided to move anyway.
Correct.
And the schedule that is currently in existence that you wanted to follow up until now was for after school on Friday until 8:30 on Friday, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And you testified earlier that your husband didn't contact you about any other visits in between January and June, but somebody else did, correct?
Correct.
Who was that?
Hector Hernandez,
Okay.
grandfather of my children.
And was that for a visit in March?
Correct.
And what amount of time were they going to be permitted by you to have with those children if they came up to Burleson during that time?
Friday and Sunday.
So Friday from what time to what time?
Friday, they got off 2:30 from school until 8:30 p.m. And Sunday, 12 to 6 p.m. as the current divorce decree stipulated.
Right, so only what the decree said, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And yes, you could move according to the decree, correct?
Correct.
But it was going to put a huge distance in between the El Paso father and Burleson, correct?
Correct.
And you knew that when you were moving, correct?
Correct.
And yet you still want to keep a similar schedule now, except for Thursdays overnights, correct?
Similar schedule in regards to Sabbath, I would say. Correct.
Well, I understand in regards to Sabbath, but I'm saying you can have Thursdays overnight according to you until Fridays, correct?
Correct.
All right, but he has to take them to school the next day, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And so he'll get approximately 6 hours on Friday and a couple hours on Thursday night, correct?
Correct.
During the school year. And then a couple hours on Sunday.
Correct.
Okay. During your Sabbath day, how long does that last?
Whole day, the whole Sabbath.
I understand. But are the activities until 5 o'clock? Are they till 4 o'clock? Are they till 3 o'clock? When are they?
Church starts at 9 a.m. It ends at around 1 p.m. Then we have, it's called in Spanish, Sociedad de Jóvenes, where kids get to interact and study the Bible. And that goes from 4 p.m. until 7 p.m. And then after that, they have gym activities. And that's why I'm saying the whole day, because it is the whole day.
Okay. And they couldn't miss any of that time to spend with their father, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And they can't miss any other time like school days or things like that, correct?
Correct.
Because the church has become more important than their father, correct?
It's not the church, it's God. Sabbath.
Okay. And that's more important than their father being able to visit with their children in a meaningful way, correct?
Correct. We believe God is above all and everything.
I have nothing further, Your Honor.
Judge, I have nothing else with this witness.
All right, I have a few questions. Ma'am, is there any other reason why on your proposed order or proposed requests for relief that it's strictly the Thanksgiving holiday and not the winter break?
There's no other reason but that my children have spent every Christmas with their mother. And I would think that that would be very hard for them to be apart on Christmas Day from their mother.
But then at this point, the same thing could be said for Thanksgiving, correct?
Correct.
So they spent every Thanksgiving with their mother, but you're willing to sacrifice Thanksgiving.
Correct.
Okay. So in that light, would it be okay if I flipped it? If I gave you the Thanksgiving and maybe him a week during the winter break?
It's okay, sir.
If I gave you every Thanksgiving and then gave him every week, a week during the winter break?
Including Christmas?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so you said alternating them?
No, ma'am. Because right now what is proposed is that he'd get every Thanksgiving and then you'd get the winter break.
Mhm.
What I'm saying is if I flip it, would that be okay?
No,
Okay, why is that?
because Christmas is a special holiday for us. And like I said, it would be different and difficult for my children to spend a Christmas with different traditions in another house. That's the way I see it. That's my answer.
Okay. Now, before the COVID monster came along, what kind of activities were your children involved in?
Okay, so they are involved in a group. It's called Aventureros. It's a group from church. It's kind of like the Girl Scouts from our church. So they go camping, they go to parks, they show them all kinds of stuff, and they get like these little patches every time they accomplish a certain, for example, they have to make a drawing of something. They take like art classes and then they get a special patch for that. And every year there's a special event for those kids who who got the most patches. So that's one. It's every Wednesday. It's also on Saturdays, sometimes on Sundays. And other than that, we are very active on the afternoons. We go to the park, and that's pretty much it. That's what we do.
And the camping happens when, you said?
We haven't had camping. We were supposed to have a camping trip this summer. We had to do a virtual camping, but it goes on every summer.
Okay, but the camping happens, I think you said that it included Saturdays?
Yes. So it's like a meeting. So it's like a class. So they have to go every Wednesday. Saturday, they follow up at church times, and sometimes they have to go on Sunday. So this is weekly. So it's like weekly activities that they do at church, and sometimes instead of meeting in church, they meet at the park, for example.
Okay,
So-
but what I was asking about was camping, the actual camping. Is there any actual camping going on?
Not this year because of the COVID.
Okay, understood. But in years before COVID,
Mhm.
was there actually camping the way camping would be described by most of us, going out to, maybe the woods and pitching tents, that kind of stuff?
No.
No, okay. You indicated that you had not looked into jobs here in El Paso, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. But you also indicated that the jobs in Tarrant County in your area paid a lot better. Is
Yes.
that correct?
Correct.
Now, how would you know that if you had not looked into jobs here?
Because my sister-in-law, she's a nurse, and she's been a nurse for around 12 years, and we're making about the same.
Where?
She's a nurse in El Paso.
Okay, so you're making the same?
Yes, and I just started.
Okay. And she's been a nurse for how long?
Around 5 years.
Okay. Any other questions for the witness?
No, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Rest?
Yes, I will. Actually, I wanted to call his father, Your Honor. He's
Okay.
present
Present where?
with Fernando. Fernando, is your dad there?
Yes, he's in the conference room. I
Okay.
can go get him.
That's fine.
Okay.
Should I get him now?
Yes,
Briefly,
I'll try my best, Judge.
I forgot about that witness. I thought we were doing very well on time, so.
We're not doing bad.
Okay, I know, but for the record here,
Sorry.
yes,
I have an emergency. They're asking me whether or not I can step outside to tell them if they can cut through my ceiling.
Well,
Okay,
go look.
Plumbing issues.
Go look. I'll wait a minute. No problem.
1
I'm
second.
not gonna start without you.
Okay, 1 second.
Hello.
Hang on 1 second, sir. We have to wait. The other lawyer had to step out. She's got a plumbing emergency.
Okay, that's fine. I'll wait.
Mr. Glashan, and we're off the record, Pat. This isn't going to be anything major. It's more to you. Give me 1 second.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Is it okay, Heather?
Yes, well, I'm ready to start. I don't know if it's okay.
Give me a second. Give me a second here. Okay, Mr. McGlashan, which of there's 5 items or 5 PDFs that you had included. I'm assuming that you're not asking that they all be admitted to evidence, or are you?
Not the proposal, Your Honor, but the rest of them they are the motion for continuance that was filed, and that would go to the injunctions, but apparently they're going to be agreed to. So that's not really necessary at this time. And then the discovery responses, which Heather had no objection.
I did not.
Okay. Okay. So then we have the move-ins request relief from the court. You said not, right?
Well, it's not an admitted exhibit, Your Honor. It's for the court's notification as to what we're asking for.
No, I'm questioning more as to admission of these exhibits. So,
I guess you can. It's fine. It's just what we're requesting.
okay. Okay, the request would be M1.
Yes, sir.
Response to interrogatories would be M2.
Correct.
Response to disclosure M3.
Correct.
And response to production M4.
Correct. And then I don't need M5. No.
Yes. So Ms. Roncone, you had indicated there's no objection to those, correct?
That's correct, Judge.
Okay. And then I'm trying to, and since I don't know if you just wanted the proposal as aid to the court, or yes?
Yes,
Mr.
Judge.
Connie? Or Mr.
Yes.
Connie, both of you had the same thing?
Yes, sir.
Correct.
Okay. And is it okay if I just take judicial notice of the final decree of divorce instead of making an exhibit?
Sure, Judge.
It's fine with me, Judge.
Okay, it's just one less thing that I need to print here, before you all just give me the document, now I have to print these out and make it part of the record. So
I hear you.
the less trees that we can kill, the better. All right. Okay, then let's get back.
He has not been sworn, Your Honor.
Yes. Sir, if I could please, we're back on the record. If I could please have you state your full name.
Yes, sir. My name is Hector Hernandez.
Okay, I need you to raise your right hand. You swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. Yes?
Yes, yes, sir.
All right, go ahead and lower your hand. Ms. Cabada, if you could please mute yourself.
Yes, sir.
All right, go ahead, counsel.
Mr. Hernandez, you're going to need to speak up, okay?
Yes, sir. Okay.
Mr. Hernandez, you have acted as an intermediary between these parties for 4 years. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. That's correct.
During the first 2 years, do you know if your son was able to contact his ex-wife now?
No, actually, they told us that the only condition to see the girls is to me to pick up the girls and take it home and take it back to their home. So that's why.
And was that on the advice of counsel?
Was an advice of the counselor, and then one of the conditions they established.
Okay,
Cabada's family.
okay. So have you always gone to pick up the girls when it was his time to visit?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Were there ever any occasions where you didn't get the girls?
No, yeah, I was several times, especially on Sundays.
Okay. And did you always attempt to pick up the girls?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And what response did you get?
Well, sometimes they have other plans. Sometimes they didn't open the door. You know,
Okay.
any excuse.
And were you acting as an intermediary even after she left town and went to Burleson?
Yes, sir.
Okay. During that time, did you set up any visitations?
Yes, I would try it. Yes.
Okay. Can you tell the court about the first time you went to visit?
The one time we visit was on January the 1st.
Okay.
And we saw it just for a few hours and then brought him back to home.
How many hours did you get?
I think it was between 11, 12 until 8:30 at night. It's
Okay.
Friday.
On a Friday. Did you
Yes,
get
sir.
to see them at any other point during that weekend or
That's
that
it.
week?
I
Okay.
think it was
Did you attempt to set up any other visitations?
yes, sir. And ask her to weekends. They spend the night on Saturday because to spend the weekend. They say no, and
Okay.
that's the way.
Do you recall when that was?
I think in February one time I remember because it was my birthday and I wanted to spend over there and she said no, it's only Friday and Sunday. That's it.
Okay. And do you make the trip with your son?
Yes, sir.
Do you drive your son?
I drive my son. Yes.
Yeah.
Me and my wife.
Okay. And how long is the trip?
It's like 9-10 hours from El
Okay.
Paso.
Can you describe your relationship with your children, your grandchildren?
Oh, they spend the first 2 years with us. They were living with us, so you can imagine they like my daughters.
Okay. And when they come to stay in El Paso, are they staying in the same residence as you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And do you have everything that the girls could need in El Paso?
Yes, sir.
Do they have their own beds?
They're on their own beds, home, everything.
Okay, I have nothing further for the witness, Your Honor.
Mr. Hernandez, in January, and you're talking about January 2020,
Yes, ma'am.
were you asking for that visit for yourself or for your son?
For my son.
And did he in fact go with you on January, I think you said 1st?
I think it was first, yes. I'm sorry, what's the question? I'm sorry.
Was he with you on that January visit in Burleson?
My son, you mean?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
did your son ask to see the girls in February?
Yes. Every time I was only the intermediary. He was always asking for them, but I'm just only the messenger. That's it. But I was only the messenger. I mean, I didn't ask for myself. It's for my son. Everything was for my son.
Okay. Was there a time when Estefania lived in El Paso with the girls that you picked them up on a Friday and your son was not with the girls?
No, I don't think so. He was. I think at the beginning, I go to school and then come back home, and he was home waiting for us most of the time.
Okay, so most of the time, but there were times where you had the girls and he was not there on a Friday, correct?
Not the whole day. Maybe later, like 5 o'clock, and show up. He was
Okay.
working because of work. But,
And then on Sundays, there were times when he wasn't there the whole time either, correct?
no, he was all the time.
All the time, every Sunday.
Yeah, most of yes. I think I don't recall it was, but it is all the Sundays. I'll say that.
Sir, if you don't recall or you don't know or you're certain that it was every Sunday.
I'm certain every Sunday.
Okay, I'll pass the witness.
I have nothing further for the witness. Thank you very much, sir.
You're welcome. Thank you.
With that, we'll rest, Your Honor.
Danny, are you?
Sir, if you could please have your son come back. Both sides rest.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right, I'll get you my order by tomorrow.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Judge.
With that,
Thank you, Fernando.
take
Talk
care.
to you tomorrow.
Stay safe.
Thank you,
We'll
Your
try.
Honor. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.